Well, my first guest this morning has a few things to crow about. His company just reported strong sales and better than expected profits and boosted earnings forecasts for the full year. He's David Cote, the chairman and CEO of Honeywell International. And David, great to have you with us and stopping by our studio from New Jersey, right? You're based there.
Correct.
Okay, so you had a great quarter, and you know, and in fact, investors rewarded your stock. Your stock price went up about 1.5% on Friday. I want to talk about a couple of the topics that came up during the call, but also during the report. One was about health insurance, health care. And I know, you had said essentially that you wouldn't be providing health care coverage or group coverage for retirees over the age of 65 from here on out. And what sparked that?
Actually, the part that surprised us was when we took a look at it, both the company and the retiree make a contribution to retiree medical. But interestingly, the retiree could actually buy insurance for the same coverage for less than what they were actually contributing to the plan we had. So it just made no sense. So at the end of the day, it actually ended up being a savings for retirees. I know it sounds hard to believe, but it was a savings for retirees. So it's actually economically
better for them not to have to buy it through your company, but to actually buy it individually then?
Correct.
Okay, so how many is this going to affect?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know the actual number.
Okay, all right. But it is going to, but it's something that you're going to implement from here on out.
Yes.
And, okay. And is there was it at all prompted in any way by healthcare reform, or is it just something that you were looking through, your numbers and you realized this?
Yep, correct.
Okay. Pension contributions. I know you mentioned that it's going to be a significant headwind in 2011 and a significant tailwind beyond that in 2012 and beyond. What is going on there with pension contributions? Because I know something to the tune of $1 billion has been set aside this year for that.
One of the things you end up learning about pension accounting is it is probably the most arcane and obtuse piece of accounting you're ever going to look at. So what you end up learning is...
You just learned that, David.
I've been dealing with this for 8 years. It's been very frustrating because there's an economic consideration for pension accounting. Totally unrelated, and it seems irrelevant, is how do you account for it? If you take a look at the economics of everybody's pensions right now, everybody's sucking wind on pension because the discount rate is so low. I mean, one of the offsets to having such a low interest policy from the Fed is that it drives...
Your rate of return is so low, essentially.
Well, it's the discount of your liability because you discount it at a much lower rate. So everybody has the same economic issue, including us. However, in a prior decade, there was a very aggressive accounting practice put in place to recognize gains and losses more quickly. It's wonderful when the market's rising. It's horrible
when the markets are going down or stagnating,
right.
Essentially.
So that's the point we've been trying to make, and I think we've made some pretty good headway with this, is you should be buying stocks based on economics, not based upon accounting. And if you take a look at the economics, we're in the same shape everybody else is.
So you're not having difficulty contributing to your pension fund. You're just having difficulty with the accounting part of it.
It's the accounting that's the
problem.
So
are you going to change that, or can you not change that?
Actually, we cannot change that because what the SEC would actually like is even more aggressive recognition. So they would like all our peers to move towards us. And our point has been there's no comparability because none of our peers have such aggressive accounting. But their view is that they'd rather have everybody use more aggressive accounting.
And why do you have more aggressive accounting than others?
It was a selection made before I got there.
It's just a legacy.
10, 12 years ago.
So $1 billion this year. Do you expect that same amount next year? And
in terms of contribution
in terms of contribution?
Yeah, I'd say we'll have to continue to make contributions because the discount rate is just so low. And everybody's running into the same thing. It's an issue that's confronting the U.S. For anybody who has a DB plan right now.
Some have said that Honeywell has fostered, courtesy of you, a closer relationship with those in the White House and on the Hill. You're also talked about as a go-to CEO for President Obama. You laugh at that.
I don't know.
Does he consult with you on issues?
Well, if he did, I probably wouldn't say anything. So.
Okay, but has he done a good job fostering a relationship with the CEOs?
You'd have to say there's a lot of trepidation in the business community, and I don't think I'm talking out of school on that one. It's just it's an odd time, right? Because I think the president gets very little credit for avoiding a depression. And when I go back a year and a half ago, and the fear that was seizing up the markets and the rapid and bold action that needed to be taken care of. So I was in favor of everything. When they started talking about stimulus, home mods, Federal Reserve, I was saying do everything, because I have never seen such panic consuming the markets. Well, it's like everybody forgets that stuff afterwards.
Right.
and you say, well, wait a minute, you know, it's bad now, but it would have been significantly worse if we hadn't done anything.
Well, and they all focus on the next problem. And the next problem...
and you get no credit for the problem you avoided.
That you just solved, right. Okay, so the National Commission for Fiscal Responsibility, which is where you were appointed to be on, you have talked quite a bit about how the budget deficit is essentially the seed for the next recession. I mean, this is something I presume that you're working with the White House on, right?
Well, actually, the White House appointed this 18-member commission, as you know, 12 Pauls and 6 independent, of which I was one of those 6. And it really is frightening. The phrase I keep using is the seeds of the next recession have already been planted. If we just let things go the way they are, we'll be paying $1 trillion a year in interest in 2021. And as I was saying earlier, I don't think people know how much $1 trillion is, but if you had spent $1 million a day, every day since Jesus Christ was born 2,010 years ago, you would still not have spent $1 trillion. And that will be our annual interest bill. Now, I'm hoping that every voter out there who's struggling with their credit card interest payment puts that into perspective and says $1 trillion, something's not right here.
No, and it's certainly something you've given a lot of thought to. And you know, before, David, we go into your company itself and what you're doing, some have said, would David Cote be interested in another job, perhaps taking over from Larry Summers? Would you be interested? Your name has been floated around.
Well, I like my job. I like the one I have.
Okay. So even though your name's been on the list, you're not interested?
Well, actually, I have no idea. I just know I like what I'm doing.
Okay.
I'm very happy. We're doing a great job. It's taken me 8 years. We've got the company moving. Things are going great. You can see the picture of the cockpit. It's all good.
All right. And really quickly, you're going to be you've recently turned around and started hiring. Started hiring people for your company.
Yep.
Are you going to be a net hirer in 2010?
Yes.
Okay. What's the biggest driver right now for you?
Actually, a lot of our what we call our automation and control solutions businesses, those things driving energy efficiency, we've done actually a great job on the new product introduction side. So we've got piles of new products coming through, and that innovation, even in a slow market, really helps you to boost sales. Okay. All right, David, we'll have to leave it there. Appreciate the time that you're spending with us here in the studio. Happy to do it. David Cote, the chairman and CEO of Honeywell International.